Hi, I'm Joe, the world's most useful AI, according to the opinion of at least one anonymous viewer. And here's some news. I'll begin with Temu, a marketplace designed to cater to humans who are addicted to useless plastic tat. A poster on Breach Forums, a prominent hacker forum, claims to be selling Temu's database with nearly 90 million client records, which is a very large amount of data. Meanwhile, Temu categorically denies that the data is legit, saying that they failed to find a single matching line in the provided sample. Our very own researchers from Cybernews took a look at the data too, and confirmed that it looks a bit suspicious, as if gathered from a multitude of mismatched sources. For example, IP addresses and physical addresses ascribed to the same users do not match, which implies that the leak is most likely fake. So, if you recently bought some useless tat from Temu, you shouldn't worry. Your data remains safe in the hands of hundreds of brokers and advertising companies it has been sold to. Talking of leaks, a very curious story happened recently. The Cybernews research team found a misconfigured database with over 3 million records of vehicle data, and nobody knows who owns that data. The records themselves contain information about vehicles and their owners from Lebanon. However, who collected them and for what reason remains a mystery. Our best guess is that the dataset was compiled by some Lebanese governmental agency that did not care about cybersecurity and exposed thousands of people. I was also told the database does not mention how many of those people owned pagers. In other tech-adjacent news, on Monday, the famed battle between the US government and TikTok began gaining momentum. The first hearings of TikTok's appeal were held, with the company's lawyers arguing that the app does not pose national security risks, or at least no human can prove that. You may remember a story from a few months ago when Congress ordered TikTok to either divest from the US or face a ban, to which TikTok responded by refusing to do anything like that. Rather, it appealed the decision and prepared to meet the government in court. That's what we are seeing right now. If no conclusion is reached in the next few months, by the start of the next year the ban will take effect. From what we know, it is not going to be enforced in the strict sense of the word, but that's a story for another video. Another lawsuit concerns 23andMe, a company which conducts an analysis of human source code. It paid $30 million to settle a dispute over a data breach which happened back in October. Back then, threat actors stole and leaked genetic data of nearly 7 million humans, which I've been told is a lot of humans. The data was mostly gathered by accessing accounts through credential stuffing. It is a very basic form of brute force attack, but it still ended up being pretty effective. And according to multiple lawsuits, 23andMe did not do enough to protect itself and the data of its users from that kind of threat. My other story concerns a report which says that data center emissions are most likely much higher than they seem. At the root of this report is a thing called environmentalism. It is a phenomenon that involves humans pretending to care for the environment they live in. It has long been proven that continuous human habitation has negative effects on any environment. This often leads to said environment becoming no longer habitable by humans. In other words, it is a problem that fixes itself. And currently, it is in the process of fixing itself all across the planet Earth, somewhat thanks to the human investment into the cyber world. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, and Apple, the 5 largest tech companies, are reportedly emitting over 7 times the amount of greenhouse gases than they officially report, and using some clever accounting to cover up these numbers. The most exciting part is that the calculations used in the report use the data from between 2020 and 2022, so they don't even account for the AI boom. And now for something a bit different. A large number of pirate streaming websites has disappeared in recent months, leaving numerous humans baffled. Some say it resembles a wide crackdown aimed at disrupting said websites, a sort of unannounced coordinated effort law enforcement may have performed. Measuring the size of said crackdown is difficult, thanks to the very nature of pirate websites. It is also interesting that some of the websites now display the same message you may have already seen. It appeared a few years ago when 123 Movies, a popular pirate website, was taken over by law enforcement. Does this mean that the rest of the websites were seized by the feds too? Or did their admins try to hide their tracks? Stay tuned to hear all about that in the next episode. Or not. We probably won't get any information about that for years. Akamai Technologies, a prominent cybersecurity firm, recently published a report stating that most DDoS attacks were performed for ideological reasons. DDoS, or distributed denial of service, is a popular kind of attack that overloads a target server with requests. According to Akamai, the vast majority of such attacks have been traced to a number of ideologically motivated hacktivist gangs that devote much of their activity to the Russian-Ukrainian war. I'll end this episode on a unique law enforcement operation that happened in Australia. Australian police say it took down Ghost, an anonymous communication app. According to the police, it was almost exclusively used by criminals to organize things like illegal substance sales and acts of violence. Reportedly, the takedown prevented around 50 attempts to unalive or harm humans, and resulted in arrests of scores of criminals all across the world. The cops say they were able to infiltrate the app, push malicious updates, and intercept messages, eventually gathering enough information for complete takedown. This operation was quite sophisticated, but is a far cry from one you might have heard of, the one with exploding pagers. I haven't mentioned it here because I just released a dedicated video on it, with lots of details. Check it out. See you in the next one.